Hey everybody, it is time for week 7 of Homemade Jam. And this week we have a new piece of armor that we're going to be talking about. You'll notice that I'm in a different space again today. I'm in our archives room here at St. Paul, and there's lots of neat things to look at in this room. History from the church, things that were here in the original building, old Bibles and pictures and lots of stuff to look at. So I'm coming to you from that room today for our homemade jam. We are moving on to our 4th piece of armor that we're talking about this summer. And as always, when we talk about a new piece of armor, we're going to go back to the Bible. And we're looking again in Ephesians chapter 6. And remember, this is where Paul talks about the armor that God gives to us that protects us. Paul says, "Finally, build up your strength in union with the Lord, and by means of his mighty power, put on all the armor that God gives you, so that you will stand up against the devil's tricks. For we are not fighting against human beings, but against the wicked spiritual forces in the heavenly world and the rulers, authorities, and cosmic powers of the dark age. So take up God's armor now. Then, when the evil day comes, you will be able to resist the enemy's attacks, and after fighting to the end, you will still hold your ground. So stand ready. Have truth for a belt around your waist. Put on righteousness for your breastplate, and the readiness to announce the good news of peace as shoes for your feet. And at all times carry faith as a shield." And so that's what we're going to be talking about this week. Remember, we've already talked about God's truth and how it's like that belt that we put around us, that everything in God's word is true, and that we can test everything that we see and hear by God's word. We talked about the breastplate of God's righteousness and how God puts that body armor over our hearts to protect our hearts and to show us what's right in this world. The last couple of weeks we've been talking about shoes for our feet, and we talked about how important shoes are, especially on a hot day or when we're out walking where the ground might be dangerous. And we talked about what it means to be a peacemaker. Remember, we watched that video with the police officer who told us that whenever possible, they try and make peace. Well, today we get a new piece of armor, and this piece of armor is the shield of faith. And again, it's another one of those defensive pieces of armor that God gives us so that we can block whatever's coming at us. Now, sometimes it's hard to trust. And really, that's all faith is. It's trusting. Sometimes we don't trust that maybe our brother or sister will help us when they say that they will. Sometimes we might not trust that mom or dad will do something that they told us that they would do. But the thing about God is, when God says it, if he makes a promise, that promise is true. And so we'll be talking about those promises that God made and how people in the Bible had faith. They trusted that God's promises would come true. So the first thing you need to do before we jump into any of the other activities is go and get your knight. Now our knight is starting to look pretty sturdy here with all of the armor that we've put on him. We're going to again this week cut out a belt of truth, that tiny little piece that we'll put around his middle. We're going to cut out the breastplate or the body armor of his righteousness and put that on him. And those two pieces are starting to get pretty thick because remember, every week we keep putting those pieces on. Then we're going to cut out his shoes, and I've got both feet cut out here, and we'll glue them on over his feet to help protect his feet and remind us to walk in ways of peace. Today, you're going to make a shield. Now, you'll notice there's not a piece on here that you can trace. So here's my suggestion, and this is what I did. I took a piece of paper, and I just took a sticky note. And I folded it in half so that both sides would be the same. And then I just designed my shield and I opened it up. And then I took it over to my foil and I traced it. So when you get your shield of faith made, you're going to take it and you get to decide whether you want to put it on your knight's right hand or his left hand, and you can just glue it to wherever you want, whichever side you want it on. Now, our shield, again, we're going to keep gluing that on as we keep talking about the shield of faith, that trust that we have in God. And it's going to get super thick and super strong as well. There's going to be some fun activities for you this week. We've got 2 songs again this week, and they're familiar songs to you. We'll be singing Stand Strong, and we'll also be singing There's Power in the Blood, and both of those songs you know because we've sung them already. You'll also have the opportunity to watch a video about a person in the Bible who's a lot of people's favorite person in the Bible, except for Jesus. It's about Noah. Now, Noah had to trust God. He had to have faith in God that what God said was going to happen was actually going to happen. So as you watch this video, think about all of the ways that Noah had to trust, had to put his faith in God. You're also going to have a craft that you'll be able to make. You'll get to take an empty water bottle and make a rain gauge out of it. We're supposed to have some rain this week, so you might want to make your rain gauge in the next couple of days so you can hurry up and get it outside so that you can measure the amount of rain that ends up in your rain gauge. We'll have a deeper dig into the Bible and talking a little bit about trusting, again, that having faith in God, and you'll get to do a trust walk experience. And then there's also a close of the week kind of wrap up prayer where you'll get to shout back and forth. As one person prays, you'll get to shout what's true about God and how you can have faith in him at all times. You can trust him always. I hope you guys have a great week. I would love to see pictures of your rain gauges with or without water when you get them made. And I hope you guys are having fun with Homemade Jam. It's been a blast this year to prepare this for you, even though I've missed seeing you at VBS and around church on Sunday mornings. But I have had so much fun getting this all ready for you to do in your homes with your families. So have a great week with this week's homemade jam. And remember that we take up the shield of faith, that trust in God, that he will do exactly what he says he's going to do. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.